central London, where the Justice for Harrods Survivors campaign is about to give an update on the investigation into failings over allegations against Mohammed Al-Fayed, and we're expecting this press conference to start any moment now. And of course, this story has been rumbling along for the last couple of weeks as it relates to those allegations against Mohammed Al-Fayed, and we're expecting this press conference to start in the next minute or so. And here come some of the lawyers that are leading that group, the Harrods Survivors group, and let's listen in now.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. Can I apologise for the fact that the slightly late start? The reason was me, but the occasion and the excuse was British Rail, I'm afraid, or as a name from the past, National Rail, I think they call themselves these days. In any event, my apologies that we've kept you waiting. We are now ready to go. So, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to come here today. What you're going to hear about today is how the Justice for Harrods Survivors project developments is progressing. So, before we go into details about the Harrods claim, we want to also explain and let you know that this is not only and no longer only about survivors from Harrods. We now have clients who have suffered abuse at Harrods, at Fulham Football Club, at the hands of Al-Fayed, and at various places associated with Al-Fayed. We have been contacted by over 400 people. I'm going to pause. 400 people. Not all survivors. Some witnesses, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But we are currently engaged with 400 people who have been impacted by this abuse. Our survivors have been let down by significant parts of our society. And the threats to them and the obstacles placed in front of us as we seek to navigate the path to justice for them has not dimmed, in fact, it's enhanced our resolve. Our websites, harrodssurvivors.com and fulhamfcsurvivors.com, are places where survivors of all abuse are welcome to visit. Corporates across the world mustn't be allowed to hide behind the response. It's all different now. Particularly, we say, when much of the senior leadership remains the same. Sporting institutions can't be allowed to hide behind apologies to excuse a lack of accountability. So if you have been or know someone who's been the victim of abuse at the hands of a corporate or a sporting institution, your voice must be heard. And whether you wish to remain anonymous or you wish to speak publicly, your wishes will be entirely respected. Please get in touch through our websites. I can assure you that you will be greeted by an understanding voice and a voice grounded in professionalism and sensitivity. We are again privileged, I emphasise that word, privileged, to share the same room as many of our survivors. Many more are watching across the world. Once again, we salute you for your incredible bravery, and it's our honour to serve you. On September the 20th of this year, we conducted our first press conference. Today we see you again. We are joined, as I say, by some of our amazing survivors. I'm also joined by my two fantastic colleagues, Maria Muller and Bruce Drummond. We thank you, the members of the press and the media, for your care and consideration of these appalling matters. And our purpose today is to update you with the progress of our crusade for justice. The sheer scale of abuse perpetrated by Al-Fayed and facilitated by those around him sadly continues to grow. The journey with our survivors to have the voice they so desperately deserve has been a deeply personal one for us as the barrister team. We have always and continue to believe that our job is to ensure that all voices are heard equally, that this is not seen as a group action, and that justice is achieved through a professional, independent process which takes into account the fact that the effects of abuse are always felt individually, and the process of grieving through those effects can never be part of a tick box exercise. The past 6 weeks and the weeks before that have shown to us that the consequences of abuse and the fight for justice are truly all-encompassing. We are three individuals. We are three individuals whose sole preoccupation is the pursuit of justice for our survivors. We will not be diverted from our path. In order to ensure that no one, and I say this to the wider audience, in order to ensure that no one is under any illusions about our resolve, we are delighted to announce that we have reached agreement with a major law firm who will be handling the processing of these claims. A law firm who have extensive experience in this field, have areas of expertise in this field, and, lest anyone be concerned about our ability to fight this course to the end, backing of over £1 billion. Even more exciting, but very sad that we are having to do it, is the fact that we can today announce that the first letter of claim has been sent to Harrods. That is the beginning of the formal legal process. Anyone who thinks that it's one, it'll be followed today by another. It'll be followed the day after by others. And it'll be followed by hundreds more. If we are pushed, if our survivors are pushed into having to defend themselves in order to achieve justice, we are ready, we are resourced, and we are determined. This statement of our intent is the clearest signal possible that it is time for Harrods, time for the fired estate, and time for Fulham Football Club, amongst other sporting institutions potentially, to understand that now is the time to do the right thing. On the 20th of September, we asked them, certainly asked Harrods to do the right thing. We're still waiting. And we will not flinch until the quest for justice is satisfied. Anybody who is, quite understandably, still worried about embarking on the process, we say, you can be part of our community. It never ceases to amaze me how remarkable our community is, how our community of survivors group together to help. And I use the word community wisely. Group discussions. Always available to help people who are finding it understandably traumatic. We are privileged to know them. And we say, if you feel and wish to join, you too will be privileged to know them. You can be anonymous, as we said. You can be vocal. What will be the case is that you will no longer be alone. And you will no longer be susceptible to threat and intimidation. I also want to say a couple of words of thanks before introducing my colleagues to talk to you more. I want to thank the many people, certainly in excess of 20 and growing, who, although not survivors themselves, have come forward with accounts to support the layers and layers of abuse that we have uncovered. So again, anybody listening to this who thinks that our survivors are lone voices, you're wrong. Our challenge to anyone who seeks to avoid proper liability is that we are coming for you. We reiterate our thanks to our friend Keaton Stone, who worked tirelessly with the BBC to expose the abuse, which sadly counts his wife, our client Sophia, amongst its numbers. So the programme for today is that Bruce is going to outline the latest on the Harrods claim. Maria is going to take us through the recent Financial Times report on Saturday, which deals with the Harrods process. And I will conclude with some matters regarding Fulham Football Club. Before we open the floor to questions, which we will, you will see a video from one of our survivors. You will know who she is. So, with that, Bruce, may I hand over to you?
Thank you, Dean.